There are places on our planet where reality feels broken, locations so strange, so dangerous, and so unexplained that most people are warned to never go there. From islands where visitors disappear, to towns scarier than horror movies, today we're exploring the top 10 most mysterious places on Earth you should never visit. Welcome to Mystery Voyager, let's begin the journey. Number 10. The Door to Hell, Turkmenistan. Imagine a crater that's been burning, non-stop, for over 50 years. In 1971, Soviet geologists were drilling for natural gas in the Karakum Desert when something went horribly wrong. The ground collapsed, creating a massive hole. Worried about poisonous methane gas escaping, they made a decision. They set it on fire. They thought it would burn out in weeks. That was 5 decades ago. The Darvaza gas crater, also called the Door to Hell, is now nearly 100 feet deep and 226 feet wide. At night, it glows like a portal to another world. The flames dance continuously, powered by methane that keeps seeping from underground reserves. But here's what makes it truly terrifying. Spiders. Travelers report hordes of giant spiders being attracted to the crater's heat at night. They crawl across the burning desert sand, straight into the flames. Some accounts describe hundreds of spiders sacrificing themselves in the fire, creating an image of hell itself. Why you can't visit? The extreme heat would be unbearable. And honestly, who wants to watch thousands of spiders burn? Number 9. Snake Island, Brazil. Welcome to an island where there's literally one snake for every square meter of ground. Snake Island sits off the Brazilian coast, and it's home to the golden lancehead viper. This isn't just any snake. Its venom is so toxic it can melt human flesh and cause severe injury within minutes. Scientists estimate there are up to 5 snakes per square meter on this island. That means you cannot take a single step without encountering a deadly viper. The Brazilian government banned all visitors from coming here. Not tourists, not explorers, nobody. Only the Brazilian Navy and select scientists with special permission are allowed to visit. And when they do, a doctor must be present. One explorer described it perfectly. There are no hotels, no doctors, no hospitals if we get bitten. The island has no way to rescue you if something goes wrong. You're completely alone with thousands of venomous snakes in one of the deadliest places on Earth. Why you can't visit? The government literally forbids it, and if you tried, you probably wouldn't survive. Number 8. Area 51, USA. Deep in the Nevada desert lies America's most secretive military base. Area 51. For decades, people have reported seeing UFOs near this facility. In 1953, during a nuclear test, witnesses reported a disc-shaped object rapidly descending from the sky toward the mountains. Some believe the government captured it and brought it here. The rumors are wild. Underground laboratories, alien spacecraft, extraterrestrial beings working alongside the US military. According to some accounts, a creature known as J-Rod, supposedly a survivor from a 1953 UFO crash, was kept in a secret underground chamber at Area 51. Whistleblowers claim they've worked with aliens at this facility. The government has never confirmed or denied any of this. What we do know, there's a super-secret facility called Site 4, where select scientists are transported by special buses. What happens there? Nobody on the outside knows. Why you can't visit? It's a heavily guarded military installation. Unauthorized entry is a federal crime. But the real question is, what are they hiding? Number 7. North Sentinel Island, India. This island is home to one of the world's last completely isolated tribes. The Sentinelese people have lived in complete isolation for over 100 years. They've chosen to have zero contact with the outside world, and they will kill anyone who tries to make contact. In 2018, an American missionary named John Chaw paid $285 to illegal fishermen to bring him to the island. He stepped onto the beach. Minutes later, the tribe emerged from the trees. His body was dragged across the sand and buried. The Indian government has declared the island completely off-limits since 1956. It's not just a recommendation, it's the law. The island has no roads, no airports, no infrastructure whatsoever. It's completely untouched by modern civilization. There have been other attempts to make peaceful contact. Anthropologists have left gifts, coconuts, bananas, metal tools, hoping to build trust. Sometimes the tribe takes the gifts. Other times, Arrows fly out of the forest. They don't want you there. Researchers describe the Sentinelese as one of the most isolated and dangerous tribes remaining on Earth. They've fiercely protected their way of life by any means necessary. Why you can't visit? They will kill you, it's illegal, and honestly, they deserve their peace. Number 6. AOKIGAHARA Suicide Forest, Japan. At the base of Mount Fuji, there's a forest that's been called the Sea of Trees. AOKIGAHARA is beautiful, over 1,000 years old. Lush green vegetation covering volcanic lava rock. 30 square kilometers of dense woodland. But there's something deeply wrong with this place. The porous volcanic rock that covers the ground has a unique property. It absorbs sound. When you walk through AOKIGAHARA, you experience absolute silence. No birds, no rustling of animals, just silence. This creates an overwhelming sense of isolation and dread. Even stranger, compasses don't work here. The magnetic fields in the volcanic soil cause compasses and GPS devices to malfunction. You can literally get lost in minutes. But the darkest aspect? Since the 1960s, AOKIGAHARA has become associated with suicide. It's become known as one of the world's most frequented suicide sites. In Japanese mythology, the forest is said to be haunted by yurei, vengeful ghosts of the dead. Many locals believe these spirits wander the forest, attracting troubled souls. There are also stories of mysterious shadows moving between trees, unexplained whispers, distant crying with no source. People who visit report feeling overwhelming despair and hopelessness. Locals and Japanese people traditionally avoid the forest because of its dark reputation. There are even ice caves frozen year-round within the forest. But most people who go there seeking peace find something far darker. Why you can't visit? The forest will make you feel things you shouldn't feel. Many who enter leave traumatized. Number 5. The Death Road, Bolivia. The North Yungas Road in Bolivia has earned the title of the most dangerous road in the world. In 1995, the Inter-American Development Bank officially declared it the world's deadliest highway. Here's why. The road is only 3 meters wide, a single lane. Imagine a tightrope made of gravel. And on one side, a sheer cliff drop of up to 2,000 feet with no guardrails whatsoever. Historically, up to 300 people died on this road every year. That's an average of 26 vehicles plummeting over the edge annually. Over 100 lives lost per year. All to those dropless cliffs. The road is covered in white crosses, hundreds of them, each one marking a spot where someone fell to their death. To make it worse, during the rainy season, visibility drops to nearly zero. Waterfalls crash down onto the road surface. Dust clouds in summer make it impossible to see the edge. And yet, extreme sports enthusiasts have turned it into a mountain biking destination. Thousands of daring backpackers now cycle down this death trap for the thrill. Even with the new, safer alternate road completed in 2006, the death road still claims lives. Why you can't visit? If you make one small mistake, you fall 2,000 feet. Simple as that. Number 4. Chernobyl, Ukraine. On April 26, 1986, one of history's greatest catastrophes occurred. A nuclear power plant exploded in Chernobyl, Ukraine. The blast was so powerful it couldn't be contained. Radioactive material poured into the atmosphere for 10 straight days. The explosion killed 28 people immediately. 6 were firefighters. The radiation doses they received were so intense that they died within weeks from acute radiation syndrome. In the reactor building, radiation levels reached 5.6 roentgens per second. That's equivalent to 20,000 roentgens per hour. A lethal dose is around 500 roentgens. Some workers received fatal doses in less than a minute. Workers who went into the worst-hit areas could only stay for 40 to 90 seconds before their doses would be lethal. Afterward, they discovered something terrifying in the reactor basement. A mass of intensely radioactive material, wrinkled and grotesque, called the elephant's foot. Even today, decades later, the exclusion zone remains dangerous. 2 radioactive isotopes are the main hazard: iodine-131 and cesium-137. Cesium-137 has a half-life of 30 years. That means the radiation is still poisoning the ground. But here's what's strange: nature is taking back the land. Wolves, wild boar, and other animals have thrived in the absence of humans. And recently, scientists discovered black mold at the site that seems to feed on radiation itself. Why you can't visit? the radiation will kill you. Simple, direct, final. Number 3. Fukushima. On March 11, 2011, a massive earthquake triggered a tsunami. The tsunami waves were over 46 feet high. They overwhelmed Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant's defensive walls and flooded the facility. The backup generators failed. The cooling systems stopped working. What happened next was catastrophic. The fuel in 3 nuclear reactors overheated. The cores began to melt. Radioactive material leaked into the atmosphere and into the Pacific Ocean. The government ordered an emergency evacuation. 109,000 people were forced from their homes. Another 45,000 chose to evacuate nearby areas. The cleanup operation cost trillions of yen and is still ongoing. Some areas remain off-limits today, more than a decade later. But here's the thing. The radiation releases from Fukushima were actually 10 times lower than Chernobyl. Still, the evacuation and ongoing crisis displaced entire communities. The tsunami itself killed over 18,500 people and caused 45,000 disappearances. It was one of Japan's worst natural disasters, combined with a nuclear nightmare. Today, the reactor buildings stand as haunting reminders of what happens when nature overpowers human engineering. Why you can't visit. Many areas still have dangerous radiation levels, and even where it's safe, the haunting emptiness of abandoned towns will break your spirit. Number 2. Poveglia Island, Italy. In the Venetian lagoon sits an island that's been called the Ghost Island. Poveglia's history is absolutely dark. Starting in 1776, it became a quarantine station for plague victims. Thousands of infected people were sent there to die. When the plague got out of control, bodies weren't just buried, they were cremated in massive pits. Historians estimate up to 160,000 plague victims died on this island. So many were cremated that the island's soil is believed to be 50% human ash. Some plague victims were abandoned on the island while still alive and left to die in plague pits. The suffering was unimaginable. Then, in the early 1900s, the quarantine facility was converted into a mental asylum. According to legend, the head psychiatrist was absolutely brutal. He tortured patients. He performed disturbing medical experiments. He drove people to madness. One day, the doctor's patients got their revenge. They allegedly cornered him in the bell tower and pushed him off the top. As he fell, witnesses reported seeing a black mist wrap around him, suffocating him, killing him even before he hit the ground. Since then, the island has been forbidden. No one is allowed to live there. Visitors are not permitted. But the paranormal activity is relentless. People who have dared venture there report disembodied screams, the ringing of a bell in the tower, even though the bell was removed decades ago, strange shadows, apparitions in plague masks. Families who tried to renovate the island fled within days, terrified by unexplained phenomena. Why you can't visit? It's illegal. And thousands of tortured souls apparently don't want you there. Finally, at number 1. The Bennington Triangle, USA. In southwestern Vermont, there's a mysterious area known as the Bennington Triangle. Between 1945 and 1950, an unprecedented series of disappearances occurred in this region. 5 people vanished without a trace in just 5 years. The first, Mitty Rivers, a 74-year-old hunting guide in November 1945. He was an experienced outdoorsman who knew the wilderness well. He got separated from his hunting party and was never seen again. Only a rifle cartridge and a handkerchief were found. The second, Paula Weldon, an 18-year-old Bennington College student. In December 1946, she told her roommate she was going for a hike on the long trail. She never returned. Hundreds of people searched for weeks. Over 1,000 volunteers, military personnel, and the FBI got involved. A $5,000 reward was posted. Nothing was found. The third, James Tedford, a 68-year-old World War I veteran. In 1949, he boarded a bus heading to Bennington. He had 14 witnesses who saw him board. But when the bus arrived in Bennington, he was gone. His belongings were still in the luggage rack. It's as if he vanished mid-journey. The fourth, Paul Jepson, just 8 years old. In October 1950, he was playing in his mother's truck at the dump. She left him for just a few minutes. When she returned, he was gone. Hundreds of people searched. The Vermont State Police and U.S. Army got involved. Dogs lost his scent at a nearby crossroads. The boy was never found. The fifth and final, Frida Langer, a 53-year-old woman. In October 1950, she was camping with her cousin. She fell into a stream and went back to camp to change clothes. She was supposed to return quickly. She never did. Hundreds searched for weeks. Helicopters scoured the area, but Frida had vanished. 6 months later, her body was found 3.5 miles from the campsite in an area that had already been searched. She had apparently fallen down a bank and drowned. Why is this location so mysterious? The disappearances happened in a specific pattern, all in mid-afternoon around 3 to 4 p.m. 2 victims were wearing the color red, all near Glastonbury Mountain. Theories range from UFO abductions to a serial killer to a native curse. The Abenaki tribe believed the mountain was cursed, to Bigfoot sightings, to unstable terrain and hidden mine shafts from Vermont's industrial past. To this day, the cases remain completely unsolved. Why you can't visit? People literally disappear there. And no one knows why. Our world is beautiful, but also terrifying. Some mysteries remain unsolved, and maybe they're meant to stay that way. Each of these 10 places represents something we can't fully understand. A force, a danger, or perhaps a mystery that the universe wants to keep hidden. The door to hell burns without explanation. Snakes guard an island in perfect isolation. Area 51 hides secrets in the desert. The Sentinels protect their ancient ways. AOKIGAHARA whispers with ghosts. The death road claims lives every year. Chernobyl and Fukushima remind us of nature's power. Poveglia Island holds the pain of thousands, and the Bennington Triangle continues to swallow people whole. These are not places for tourists, not places for explorers. These are places where something else is in control. Which one shocked you the most? Comment below and tell me. Would you ever risk visiting one of these places? Get ready, Voyager, because our next journey is even darker. If you haven't already, like this video. Subscribe to Mystery Voyager for more unexplained phenomena and mysterious places. And most importantly, turn on notifications so you never miss a new video. Because next episode, we're going even deeper into the darkness. Thanks for joining me, Voyagers. I'll see you in the next one.